clients are more satisfied. We attracted more clients. Profitability is going up. We are growing much faster, I think, than we could ever have done if we would have stuck with the hierarchical pyramid.
Here you're completely free to set up the company and your role to a certain extent the way you'd like to, and the way you think as a team fits best towards your clients.
I think one common misconception about self-managing organizations is that there's no leadership or no direction, but in reality it comes from different sources.
Welcome at Effectory. We are one of Europe's leading providers of employee engagement surveys. So it means that we will conduct employee surveys whether people are satisfied with their working environment and the working climate in their companies. And we are supporting some 800 to 900 companies on an annual basis. And it means that we are surveying some, well, almost 1 million employees every year to see how their work environment can be improved. We will survey their people, whether they are engaged in their work, committed to the company, if they like the way they cooperate with their colleagues, with their bosses, if there are any. And we use these experiences with our customers also as a very huge source of inspiration for our own business. We started just before the millennium, and to be honest, without a very predefined plan. And then over the years it became more and more clear that there was really a lot of work, and then it has been growing and growing and growing until 2012. We were growing so big that we would need another management layer, and then we thought it's time for a change. First of all, I think it was getting a little bit boring for everybody. We were doing more of the same. Secondly, we saw that our staff, which has a huge potential, they were like in little cages where they needed to work the work as it was prescribed. We saw that our customer satisfaction was always very high, but there should be more passion in our work. And then we had a challenge which is a very common challenge for all existing companies which want to switch to this model. There is an existing management layer. And we were very lucky, I think, that we had a very, I would say, wise management team. And it took them, I think, 3 or 4 months to find out that it would be very good and very brave to dismantle themselves. We went to our people and we asked them the question, what would be your ideal workplace? Then 20 or something like that of our people came together, I think 2 or 3 or maybe 4 times, and they came up with this idea about being more autonomously, being more self-organizing. For us as an organization, it was really out of the box. In the beginning, people found it difficult, our staff found it difficult because they were looking forward very much, and then in reality, this is difficult and this is difficult and this is something else. At that time, I think we made a mistake. We decided it would be good if every team would have a captain. And we tried that for, I think, 2 or 3 years. During this time, we discovered that if you have a captain, nobody in a team really needs to make a decision. When the shit hits the fan, people will look at the captain and ask, hey captain, what's the decision? And then some teams, they found out it's better if we don't have a captain, if we go deeper, if we are more brave, if we are more honest to each other, if we are more straight in our feedback.
I think one common misconception about self-managing organizations is that there's no leadership or no direction, but in reality it comes from different sources. Every 6 to 8 weeks we have what we call the Effectory Information Hour, in which teams take turns in talking about a topic or a subject to the entire organization. So that's where leadership has to emerge naturally in the field.
This is very crucial in the team dynamics, that the teams, they had the possibility to more lean on natural leadership within the team and more based on the situation which occurred.
We don't really have any management here at Effectory, or not really, there is none. Here you're completely free to set up the company and your role to a certain extent the way you'd like to, and the way you think as a team fits best towards your clients. Each team is basically a little company. So within our team, next to your fixed role, mine as project manager, I also am responsible for example, the innovation.
The pure lack of management really affects your day-to-day affairs. How you operate as a team, how you operate as an individual, and how you contribute to the greater organizational goals as well.
Sometimes the team was really high performing, and then one or two team members, important team members, would go away, and then they really hit the bottom. But I think now every team has gone through this cycle, and they know how important it is to be very clear and honest.
It's not just all fun and games. I think one of the main struggles in self-managing teams is how do you make decisions? You need to find a balance between making the right decisions, but also in a timely manner.
But now, after 1 year, we asked to our employees, hey, should we go back to the old situation? It was just 2 of them who said, okay, I would rather go back than to continue. So I think that was a big stimulus for us to continue this way. And the customer satisfaction was the first indicator to raise again. Because the customers, they felt that there was much more passion and much more involvement with our employees. Then I think the employee engagement rose again, and now the profitability is rising again. But we had not expected that would fall down, and we experienced that our efficiency rate, because the teams needed to organize themselves again, to find out new ways of working, that had caused a loss of efficiency of, I think, 5, 6, 7%, which was not what we expected. On the other hand, we saw that we attracted more clients, the clients are more satisfied, and now it pays off because the profitability is going up. We are growing much faster, I think, than we could ever have done if we would have been stuck with the hierarchical pyramid. It's really very important that people get rewarded, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need a manager to reward you. And now it's much more authentic, and people speak out much more expressively within the team. And I think that's a big benefit.
We have 360 feedback within the organization. We don't have managers that give us feedback, so we ask our team members or people that we've worked with often within the company for feedback, and then they in turn can also ask you for feedback. We do that 3 times a year. So you get qualitative feedback where they give you input as to what you can and cannot improve, what's going well. And also we get scored on our teamwork and 2 other things which sort of help in terms of reward as well, to see where you're going.
A new feedback system, and it's fully based on trust. You would be a real coward if you say once a year to your colleague, well, I don't think you performed so well. So we had a huge improvement in our feedback culture. There is something like a secret success when we look at the best employers amongst our customers, and they have a few things that they all have in common. They are mission driven, so they are working for a higher purpose, not just to earn money. They will earn a lot of money, but they will earn a lot of money because they are focused on the higher purpose and not because they are focusing on earning the money. They will have a very accessible board of directors or a very accessible director. They will trust their employees, and they are based on transparency. Instead of controlling your people, you just throw out everything in the open.
At Effectory, you get to bring in so much of our own personal input and ideas. You make the company much more efficient and effective on a daily basis.
People are smart. They will understand what is expected from them or how they can help to contribute. I think these were the signals we already picked up from our most successful clients. And I can remember at a certain night, I saw Ricardo Semler. I had heard of him before, but then I saw him on television and I thought, hey, this is where it all comes together. Here it is like a philosophy, and I think it's really worked out in very much detail, and the basic assumptions behind it about democracy in work, trusting your people, I think these are the crucial points which a lot of companies still lack, and they all should dare to make this leap. You really need to trust your people. If you don't trust your people, I think you better forget this whole change of management paradigm. You really needed to learn to sit on our hands, let it happen another time, one time more, oh, it hurts. But then the teams discover on how they can overcome their own problems. And I really believe that teams can make very good and wise decisions, even with regard to, for example, the salaries or remuneration process. It has been designed fully by our employees themselves. If you give your people all information, we want to have this role in the society, we need to be financially very sound. If you give them the framework, they will come up with very, very good solutions, which are not always in their own short-term personal interest. But if you trust them, they will trust you, and they will come up with a solution which is the best for the entire company and for them as well. There's a lot of freedom, but also a lot of responsibility, and they go hand in hand. If people don't take the responsibility, their colleagues or their team members, they will think, this is not such a good member for our team. And then they will start a dialogue, or they will decide to hire somebody else.
You do much more than just your job. You have additional responsibilities in addition to what is purely your job description. So me, for example, I'm part of our people circle, which takes care of everything related to HR for our team. So this goes from making sure that people whose birthday it is get a nice birthday present, to organizing our team offsites, but also recruiting new people.
I think it starts with a higher engagement and commitment of our team members, and that immediately pays off in terms of higher customer satisfaction and in terms of a much higher efficiency, because in all companies there is a lot of trust tax which is paid if there is no trust. I think the second one is that our innovations have a much shorter turnover time. So when we discover something in the market, time to market is very, very short now, because the lines are so direct and there is no barriers into management layers where you need to bring up new ideas. And I think the third one is that it's much more fun and much more rewarding. It's a much more adult way of working together in this 21st century, I think. When we started, we had these self-organizing teams, but to be honest, they didn't have a clue about how to run a business. We quickly found out that they wanted some clear performance indicator, but we needed to help them, I think, to find the right balance. So we are looking at a set of 6 indicators for every team, and I think the most important ones are the client satisfaction, that's the primary one, the team dynamics, we are looking at the financial performance and the growth, and we are looking at the impact in the market. And also here, it's a matter of transparency. So we don't have targets for our teams. We just say, okay, this is how your team is performing, and this is how the other teams are performing. And without putting a target on it, there is something like a competition between the teams, because everybody wants to be the best in all fields. And it's a very nice way of, well, making a little game with each other, but it's very motivating, and it works, I think, much better than putting hard targets on the people. What really changed was that people or teams could decide on their own destiny. So now they can hire their own team members, and we have We have a profit sharing plan where we distribute a part of the profits to all employees. And we have had very intense discussions in our company whether these should be based on the team performance. And we have said, no, we won't make it team-based, but we will make it a company-wide profit-sharing plan. And I think it's one of the underlying, not so tangible factors of success, that there is no competition between the teams. So if there is a big customer, we will help each other out, and there is not a fight between two salesmen, should I go there or should you go there, because we will simply go there with the best team. I think if we wouldn't have followed this line of thinking, I'm not sure if we would still have been alive as a company. Or I know that many companies in our business have died over the last years just because they lacked innovation. Within our company, even throughout the whole financial crisis, we have been growing. We had a lot of innovations because people feel they can speak up. If they discover some needs with the customer, they feel free to speak up. And maybe the most important one is it's much more rewarding and much more fun for, I think, everybody involved.